Today is the 13th of November, 2024. Coming up on today's Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. It's been a while since we talked about unknown country and how it affects the political system, financial system, military system, intelligence system, and media structures of the world. Apparently, the Order of the Dragon still thought they had some access as quote-unquote citizens, and the black nobility thought they were still security. The compartmentalization of the layers of authority on this planet were not what the deep state operatives thought. Welcome to the real world, everyone. And remnants of the Anti-Genesis Project are all but gone. Find out what is next for Earth and humanity. It is the 13th of November, 2024, and this is the Global Intelligence Agency Operations Report. And we got a few things to talk about. It's actually been kind of busy, I guess you would say, from what the deep state's doing. And the main source of our busy work for the last 48 hours has been cleaning up any remnants of the anti-Genesis program that are out there. Mainly, this has nothing to do with the deep state at this point. I mean, there's always wishful thinking on their part. But what happens is sometimes there are what we call standing orders out there. So some of the AI, whatever's left of it for Kronos, it's actually been mainly Kronos, it's not really Omega anymore, that is trying to reestablish some balance based on old standing orders. It's thrown up a few things here on the planet, and not only here on Earth, but in a few other locations. And we've been working to clean that up. So is it bad? No. Did it create some disturbances here and there? Yeah, maybe. But it's not terrible. It's just standing orders. The technology appears. We go ahead and clear it out. That's pretty much it. Sometimes, though, the unfortunate part about standing orders and how they work is the deep state sees something or detects something and they're like, oh my God, it's happening. And they get all excited about it. And then it's like, bah, 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 for them. So, but once they see something, their actions after that happens is what really matters. And their actions in one case was to escalate things a little bit in the Middle East because they thought it's all happening and everybody's going to get paid and, the story and the drill. Speaking of getting paid, if you are the deep state, the Treasury and Langley 5, which is the upper echelon beyond Langley, and the Pentagon actually had a meeting yesterday. And during this meeting, they were discussing the real state of the union. What is the situation with the Treasury? Can they leverage things in the banking system? Is there something they can do to prolong things? And the Treasury basically told them that if something doesn't happen by the 14th, which is tomorrow, that they are going to, quote unquote, close the doors. What that means in the real world is, are we going to see a change in government that is going to happen in the media? Probably not. What that means is there isn't a whole lot more that treasuries can do. And as you know, treasuries are not technically government. There is no such thing as a government treasury. It's a whole organization tied to the Order of the Black Sun. So it's getting pretty desperate out there, and people are starting to realize the truth behind things. There has been some chatter as well of various members of different groups, such as the Jesuit order and military folks, not only in the U.S., but also in other countries, that are trying to figure out a way to get around their current leadership to make a change. There was also chatter about the Russian government backing away from the Brics currency because they know it's not possible and trying to figure out something else. We could very well see Brics break up. in the next 12 months. I'm not sure if that's going to be public or not, but that's what everybody is discussing. The members of Brics that were not quite members yet, but they were members they were courting, countries like Saudi Arabia and Iran and some African nations, have kind of figured out that it's all a big hoax, meaning there is no new currencies, there's no support or very little support coming from these nations that run BRICS, namely it's Russia and China, and everybody else is kind of like little brothers. And they're not really seeing a whole lot of fulfillment on the promises that were made. So it's getting a little touchy over there, and as far as the BRICS organization is concerned. And I don't know, Russia looks like they're right on the brink of maybe walking away. They've put out a lot of money, the oligarchs and the clans that run the country over there. They've put out a lot of money and seen no return. And remember, clans in Russia, there are a few that report to the Order of the Dragon and a few that report to the Order of the Black Sun. The USSR KGB guys would report to the Order of the Black Sun and the Black Nobility. And on the flip side, you have a lot of financial folks and other clans that report still to the Order of the Dragon. So it's actually the Order of the Red Dragon, which is Russian predominantly, who are talking about, this is not working. We have to figure something else out. We have a short window of time here, before we don't have a country anymore. What are we going to do? And these guys are old enough to remember what happened when the Soviet Union broke up. So is there any kind of money coming for this? No. And we're going to kind of talk a little further into that here in just a minute. But there is definitely, I wouldn't call it a full-on mutiny, but I would say there are a lot of people that are saying this is ridiculous. There's always a date. As another example, as far as dates are concerned, we are within the 3 days of the full moon, which occurs around 4:30 or so p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. And of course, they're trying to make a lot of promises as it relates to that too. The little hiccups today that we saw and yesterday, as far as the anti-Genesis, were kind of non-starters. It's kind of like the car looks like it's going to start. You might hear the turnover of the engine or something, but it never fully ignites, which is a positive thing for humanity and others. So that's a little bit off the table for them now, and they're trying to figure out something else to do. So speaking of something else to do, today is another show of compartmentalization. And what I mean by that is the people that we have left, even on the Black Nobility side, even on the Order of the Dragon side, and most definitely on the Secret Space Program side, as well as political operatives, they definitely were never read in on the global structure as to who ran the planet and who reports to who. There are some tweets and, well, what do you call them? X's now, not tweets. There are some tweets and X's that have gone out that talks about, oh, we're taking over for the elite. Goodbye, 1%. And this is the SSP people that are saying that. We're going to be in charge now. Good luck. And the world is going to change and all of these types of things. But in reality, it's how they go about it that tells me they really don't know what's going on. Okay, it's been a while since I've talked about unknown country. And I'm going to go back just a little bit, and I'm sorry to do this for those of you that remember me talking about unknown country in depth in the past. But unknown country is named unknown country for a reason. Unknown country was named that because nobody is going to take unknown country to court. Well, who? International court or otherwise. Unknown country was formed by Marduk and the trio there of draconian death up there at the top as a way to control governments around the world. Uh, just like every other structure, financial or otherwise, there was a, I hate to say it as a front organization, like everybody knows the Fed, everybody sees the Federal Reserve, excuse me, everybody sees the Federal Reserve, but that's kind of a front organization. So as it relates to unknown country, the United Nations would kind of be that front organization. The United Nations takes on the role of many different things. Number one, they appear to be a membership organization. These are things that you would hear about. They appear to be a membership organization for nations. They have a Security Council that's supposed to be the Security Council for the world. They also have a health department, as the World Health Organization or Anti-Health Organization. And they have a number of organizations within the UN that control things like energy, what you can use for energy, if it's nuclear energy. There's also monitoring organizations for that. So they're kind of like the daddy or mom to countries around the world. And this is what you see in the public eye. The Federal Reserve is the same way. They control all currencies in the world, according to what you see. They would also be the regulator for all banking institutions worldwide, not just in the US. They would also, in the past, be the face front for new allocations of new currencies from any country around the world. They also print US dollars there, along with some of the partners. They would also be printing other currencies, partners being De La Rue. AB Corp also prints all of their bonds and those types of things in the financial sector. In the media sector, you would also see the United Nations playing a huge role in the control of media organizations. So as far as like fronts for unknown country, these would all be them. Militaries and intelligence agencies would also be considered arms and legs of front companies that would actually have worked for unknown country at the end of the day. The same thing with all executive branches and all branches of all governments worldwide. Unknown country would have been kind of in the background. Unknown country did have, or does have, I should say, quite a status as it relates to the structure of the world control systems. Unknown country is the backbone, was the backbone because it's not there anymore. It's now something different. But unknown country was the backbone behind the United Nations. As an example, if you want to ratify a new country, meaning like, say, North and South Korea in the 1950s, you would have to get the approval of the United Nations in order to do so. This actually goes back long before there was a United Nations. We had the League of Nations before that. And even before then, unknown country was always behind the ratification of governments worldwide. They were also behind the ratification of anything that the Federal Reserve would do. So if you were forming a new international banking institution or currency changes or any of that, unknown country would always be behind it. Same thing goes for NGOs such as FEMA and other NGOs like the Red Cross and other government service organizations worldwide, other than that are not a part of, for example, the United Nations, the Peace Corps, all of those organizations would also have fallen under the registration of unknown country. Same thing goes for militaries around the world, which are not part of the government structure. Same with intelligence. So the unknown country stood behind and above, for example, the Bank for International Settlements. These are other international organizations that would fall under unknown country. So how did the structure of unknown country come to be? Well, unknown country was always controlled by the highest ranking individuals, possibly non-human individuals, definitely non-human individuals on the planet. It was created to maintain control over all structures on the planet, meaning human structures. It was fed orders and those that were citizens of unknown country by several layers above the individuals that appeared to be a part of unknown country. Unknown country also controlled organizations like the Knights of Malta, the Jesuit Order, other societies, especially as it relates to their world passports. If you had not seen one before, they are on the internet, you can see them, that some of these individuals are registered with a world passport. It's a black passport in which they can travel anywhere in the world if you are a high enough ranking member of unknown country and of your particular society that you belong to. So above unknown country is you had the parents and you had the covens and you had family masters of covens and you also had the Draco and you had other ranks above unknown country. However, it appears that the political operatives were unaware of this. A negotiation took place within the last couple of days between political operatives in the U.S., we know as Duck Dynasty, the Trump people, and some members of the Li family in China, to which they convinced them that the black sun is now, they didn't say the black sun, they just said we, are going to be in control and we need to do this and we need to do that and we need your unknown country codes so that we can bypass her, that would be me, and ratify our new incoming president and make great, wonderful changes in this world. And, it was a big, long story and all of this stuff. And, really any members of the Li family that are left over there, and even the Rothschild family and others, they really don't know what the heck is going on in the world anyway. And, apparently these guys sang a good enough song to some poor members over there. And so they gave them their access codes to unknown country. The other half of the access codes to unknown country, were with the Order of the Black Sun and the Black Nobility. So they figured now they had both keys, and they were all very excited with themselves last night that they had these keys, which they then proceeded to try all night last night and all day today. And they thought this was going to give them some control. But sadly, no. Okay, because above unknown country, there are many other levels of control of political systems, media systems, military systems, intelligence systems, and financial systems, and societies, and NGOs, and others that may have been members of unknown country. And right now, the only one up here is me. So today, as they were hacking away at unknown country with incorrect and very old codes, I took a look at it and I was like, I think I should slap my name on there. So I am now the head. We've always been in charge of unknown country anyway, but now my name is actually on there. So what does this mean? You could look at unknown country as it relates to human structures on this planet as the leader and the executive branch of every nation in the world. You would also look at unknown country as the country that controls all countries. So if you look at all structures and government departments in your country, you would see that unknown country behind the scenes, not you per se, because this is classified information, obviously. But unknown country would be behind it all. It'd be behind the UN. It would be over the World Health Organization. It would be over everything. So they were really excited to try to get a hold of this. Yeah, but no. So my name is now on unknown country. And that would mean that the status has now been reestablished. Any former members, which would have been, for example, family members of the Order of the Dragon, and security members would be Order of the Black Sun, and all of those members are not there anymore. This would also go for large corporations and secret societies and others that were members of unknown country. So those statuses have all been removed from the system, so they can't even see them anymore. And yeah, it's just me now. Will we register, because I know this is going to be your next question, will we ever register other people to unknown country? At some point, yes. But here's what would happen if we do it right now. If we register people to unknown country right now, you will all become a target, because the operatives know unknown country as the people who control the world. They will be looking for anyone who could actually give them some kind of access to financial control systems, political control systems, ratifying new heads of state, forming new NGOs, funding media, funding military, funding intelligence, because that is the type of people who were actually registered there. At this moment, it would make you a target, and I don't want to do that to anybody at this time. Technically, you're already registered as citizens of unknown country. So from unknown country on down, let's take a look at government structures. We have your executive branch, this is in democratic countries, and you have a monarch, depending on where you are in the world. And all of those would fall as under unknown country as citizens. In between them, you would have had your societies, Order of the Dragon, and so on and so forth. This is why it's so hard to say if you have a president of any country or a head of state, a monarch, depending on where you are in the world, why they don't do anything, why they don't move, why they can't make change in a country by themselves. The same goes for their groups of political operatives. They have zero ability to make any kind of change. Well, now what they're going to see is none of those ranking people are registered to unknown country anymore, which means organization that's behind every government in the world has now changed. This is now all visible to them. They can see it on computer screens, they can see it everywhere, and the only name in there is me, target number 1. So I did this so that they would understand if they want to do anything, it's not to come from the Order of the Dragon or the Black Sun or any of these people. The Order of the Black Sun no longer has a security contract for unknown country, therefore has no say in military structures and intelligence structures worldwide. They don't give those people orders anymore. However, they have been, which is what is causing a lot of disruption in the world. Same thing goes for DARPA. It's the same reason why those secret space program operatives can run in and out of all of those places, because technically they're Black Sun operatives. They are not government operatives, even though a lot of them hold DARPA clearances and NATO clearances and all of these organizations' clearances. Same thing goes for UN clearances and world passports and all of these types of things as well. They just don't have the capacity to give them orders anymore. I know that there are some people that have worked in places like the Pentagon and GCHQ that are questioning whether or not they should be taking orders anymore from these people. For example, there was a phone conversation that took place with GCHQ, and they're talking about the fate of the monarchy. And I don't know which monarchy, because I asked the question and I didn't get an answer to that. But the fate of the monarchy, my guess would be it's either Crown Corporation and the Rothschild family, which used to be monarchs under unknown country. Are they asking what's going to happen to them, or are they asking what's going to happen to King Charles? Well, for those of you that don't know, and I think I've said it on the news before, King Charles passed away a few weeks ago. Not that long. Yeah, it's been probably almost a month now. And the chatter is that they're going to actually announce this, but who knows? You know, they always say they're going to announce something and then they don't actually do it because something didn't fall into their lap or they didn't get any control of something. So if they had gotten access to unknown country to register themselves in there, then would that have given them the ability to ratify incoming presidents? No, it never would have. The Hall of Records is connected to unknown country, but in the same way it's connected to other governments under unknown country. No. So it really wouldn't have helped them much with their plight and what they're looking to do in bypassing her, because she, meaning myself, is still there. So all I have to do is have a conversation with myself. Have I changed my mind? No, haven't changed my mind. Okay, next, other interesting tidbits of information about unknown country. There is a lot of information on the internet that you can find about London and Washington, D.C. as two examples that are kind of nations unto themselves. They are not a part of the country they allege to be the capital city of or a part of. And that is actually true. It's very true. The same goes for Moscow and Tehran, Bern, Switzerland, and Beijing as another example. There are also a few other cities, Tel Aviv is another one, that are actually registered as a sovereign nation unto itself. And for those of you that don't know, another one would be the Bank for International Settlements. It actually stands on its own sovereign ground. So does the United Nations, not only in Geneva, but also in New York. All of these little islands of sovereign nations that exist within nations are actually registered under unknown country directly. So take Washington, D.C. as an example. Washington, D.C. appears to be a part of the United States. I know that it talks about being a district and all that kind of stuff, and I understand that, which is still kind of weird unto itself, isn't it? But Washington, D.C. is not registered to the United States. It's actually registered as a sovereign nation unto itself, apart from the United States as a country directly under unknown country. Pretty interesting little fact there. So that means that Washington, D.C. unto itself would actually be the same tier in the Christmas tree. If unknown country was the star at the top of the Christmas tree on down, they would actually be on the same tier in the same level, which means the citizens of unknown country, which would be your orders, the order, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them, would actually be able to give orders and funding directly separately of the rest of the United States, quote unquote, government to Washington, D.C. That's not corrupt at all, is it? Same thing goes for Moscow versus the rest of Russia, Beijing versus the rest of China. They actually are technically used to be the executive branch of all of those sovereign nations. Very interesting little tidbit. This is why the order has so much political control. The same thing goes for GCHQ in the UK. Same thing goes for the Pentagon. They are an island unto themselves that fall under unknown countries' military. So they are not the United States military, legally speaking. They are legally titled as a subsection of unknown countries' military. The CIA, the SVR over there in Russia, the MI6, MI5, insert intelligence agency here, China Secret Service, Israeli Mossad, they all fall under subsectors of intelligence of unknown country. So you can see why these intelligence agencies, militaries, political government structures, and media organizations do not have the capacity to do anything that the orders haven't told them to do. Same thing goes for forming new government organizations. Same thing goes for the United Nations and the World Health Organization. Currently, part of our biggest problem as humans and as humanity and inhabitants of Earth, one of our biggest problems that we have is unknown country and the claim the order is making that they are still citizens and or executive branch members of unknown country, which is a full-on lie. And today, based on the negotiations between the Duck Dynasty Trump operatives, secret space program guys, and the Lee family of China, that has been proven to be correct because it worked as a lock and key system. You had to have one member from the Order of the Black Sun, executive branch, and one member from the Order of the Dragon, executive branch, but there was always a third key. So it's 2 keys to get in and 3 keys to get out. 3 keys to change everything. You don't have the third key, that would be me. It actually was me before I even changed the structure today. It was always me. It's been me for over a decade, and it still is me. What I did, though, in preparation for what is now happening and what's coming, is I said, okay, unknown country used to be under Alpha. It was an old Alpha Omega structure. Maybe we need to restructure this a little bit. So I've moved it now. I got rid of the old one, and I moved it now with a registration underneath the Golden Age AI. Now it's appearing not only to all of these governments, not only to the Fed, not only to the Treasury, that I am now the owner, not the manager, not the president, not a citizen. I am the owner of unknown country. And it's starting to get around. This only happened a few hours ago. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours. But it was made very clear to the operatives who were trying to take over or register themselves with unknown country that that's not happening. You still need my authorization. Then that's not going to happen. Actually, no, it's not. I don't see the purpose. I'll probably continue some restructuring underneath unknown country. This would actually give us the ability to register technically citizens differently of countries. We could technically bypass government controls if we should need to do that. It would change the legal system, hopefully, on the higher levels of things. There's a lot we could do with a re-registration of unknown country. Do we technically need a one world country? No, we really don't. But right now, we really don't have a government structure. We have a flailing group of operatives around the world and some remnants of the Order of the Dragon and some remnants of the Order of the Black Sun trying to drive a bus when they don't know how to drive the bus. One guy knows how to do the shifter, the other guy knows about the steering wheel, some other guy knows that there's some pedals down there, but no one can figure out all together now how to drive a bus because they don't have an engine in the bus. There's no engine in the bus. We have the engine to the bus. So we could put the engine in a different car and drive away, as an example. And them without us, it's not going to happen. So as an interim structure, this could actually prove as a useful strategy and a useful tool for a short period of time until we can make some serious changes. The one thing I wanted to make very clear as it comes to the World Health Organization and the United Nations and all of these people, are they still going to take orders from people who are not citizens of unknown country? I don't know the answer to the question. Are people going to pretend to be unknown country? Well, no, because all of this information is going to be sent to every intelligence agency in the world. It's going to be sent everywhere, even those that were not looking for it. It should be there by morning, our time, and they will see that the structure has changed. There's no denying it. Financial institutions will get the memo. Everybody is going to get the memo. Certain figureheads, let's talk about figureheads. As an example, Powell, the alleged chairman of the Fed, that's a story for another day. He claimed that should Trump get into office, he is not going to step down even if the president tells him to. The reason why, and he's right, he doesn't have to actually. The reason why he is saying that is because he, as chairman of the Fed, would be reporting to a member of unknown country, a citizen of unknown country in the past. Not the U.S. government. The Federal Reserve technically has nothing to do with the U.S. government. The Federal Reserve holds an equal status to the United States government and always has. In other words, they are an island unto themselves as well because their headquarters is in Washington, D.C. Same thing for all those organizations in Geneva. Same thing for the United Nations in New York. Same thing for embassies around the world. If you look at all of the structures that we see as deep state structures, you haven't begun to see how it really works until you have investigated and taken a look at unknown country. Unknown country signed and ratified every single government in the world at some point in time in history, including the Treaty of Paris that made the United States the United States. Unknown country is always the final signature. It doesn't matter if the King of England signed it or who signed it. It doesn't matter in any way, shape, or form. It was just presented as such. Crown Corporation also held a similar status to the United States. Crown Corporation was still subject to unknown country. I hope this makes sense, and I wish I was had the whiteboard and map it out for you. I've done it before. So if it's repetitive to you, I apologize. But it's important that we stop the compartmentalization of the cray-cray people. We stop the compartmentalization and hiding information from governments, from militaries, from intelligence agencies. Even the Pentagon, when they go through their archives, they will see on that document, on those papers, that they are not registered as the military of the United States. I know they want to believe that they are, but they are not. They've always believed that they report to the Rothschild family, and every year they used to get, many years ago, it hasn't happened in a while, they used to get funding through a system called AVIL P4 system or Net 6, which is another system. Net 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. These are subwebs of the net, internet. That would be used for security and other things, but Net 6 predominantly was connected to the Rothschild family, and they would receive orders from unknown country on that line, and they would receive money from unknown country on that line, from the global military complex. The global military is unknown country. So it would be one of those crazy dragon people giving them orders, or it would be one of those crazy black sun people that would be getting orders and money to go along with it. However, unknown country is me, has been me for over a decade. Since 2012, actually, it's been me. So I've been using the country code for unknown country. It has been me this whole time, and I know that is a hard concept to grasp. However, the military, not only of the United States, but of every single country in the world, belongs to me. I am the owner of unknown country, therefore I am the owner of your military. Am I going to support your military? No. Why? Because you're not listening to me. You're still listening to old citizens of unknown country who are not registered and ratified there anymore. The reason why NATO had such high clearances, as an example, and would give orders to other countries' militaries, is because they were a higher ranking tier underneath still unknown countries' military force. So was the intelligence agency and the CIA. And technically, they should have been taking orders from the owner and not the citizens of the country. I mean, wouldn't it be great if the citizens of any country, wherever you're from in the world, could give orders to the military? I mean, that would be an interesting thing, but that doesn't happen. So these alleged citizens, and everybody had their region. Remember the color wars. So the blue dragon, anybody with blue in their flag would take orders from the blue dragon. If you have white in your flag, you would also be taking orders from the Germans. If you had red in your flag, you'd also be taking orders from the Russians, and so on and so forth down the line. So take a look at your flag. You can see which part and which color dragons and which color eagles you would be reporting to. That's what you would have seen. That's how unknown country works, because it's made up of all colors. And technically, although Omega had some kind of relativity as it related to unknown country, the ultimate ratification had to be done by both sides. So with no alpha support under the actual owner of unknown country, not the debtor or the lender of the country, unknown country can't do anything. So now that it's out of alpha and it's into the golden age AI, over the next several days, because it takes time to do all of these things, all of this restructuring will start to take place in a new and different way. What does this mean for governments? Well, at this moment in time, we inherited them. We can unratify them. We can get rid of them. We were going through this little tit for tat there for a while when we unratified governments a few years back. No one responded to us. even though at a higher level than unknown country, we unratified governments around the world. Did they let that information out? We now figured out, well, the archivists weren't exactly on our side. And what were they telling people? Who knows? But these are all definite options at this moment in time. Do we want governments? What kind of things do we want to do? At the time, we also tried doing assemblies around the world. And there were people I know that were very upset that assemblies didn't work and we stopped ratifying assemblies. Why? Although there are many of you that worked really well together, understood that we're not here to be in charge of people, understood that a leader and a boss are not the same thing. Some of you did. There were many, especially in the United States, who tried to form new structures of presidents and heads of state. And I had hours-long phone calls, and it was terrible. It was just the amount of hierarchical structures you tried to put in place was insane. Not just in the U.S., there were other countries they were trying to do this too. There at the time there wasn't a full understanding of different countries and how dangerous it could be to try to form a group that would be separate of a government. And the registration lines that we had put in place at that time didn't really understand different cultures, different societies, different people. So the assembly system ended up being a failure for that reason. It's not all of you, so if you are a group that has a full understanding that we are here to help people and we are here to implement restoration of your respective regions, states, provinces, areas, and countries, then, I apologize to you because, like I said, I saw and I still see the assemblies are still running in a lot of different places. They've become a group of people that are trying to do positive things in their communities. And for that, I thank you. If you are those people and you're listening to this, it's working. I mean, I know I've seen a lot of great work in communities coming from some of you, and I thoroughly appreciate what you're doing for humanity. And I know sometimes it can be a thankless job. Trust me, I'm on the other end of that. But um, are we going to start registering assemblies again? No, not at this time. Um, Definitely not. I don't think. I don't think a status quo government re-registration is the way to go. I think we need to look at things from an individual basis and possibly formulate some community services uh, type thing where people know where to go to get assurance. People know where to go to, if they need a pothole filled or a road built or something like that in the future. But I don't think we're going to do the whole assembly official thing anymore. It'll be more directed under care, that kind of thing, because really all we want to be, as humans, we want to be of service to humanity. And a funny story I'll tell you about. A friend of mine had gone on a plane trip recently, and we were talking this morning about her trip. And this person knows a lot about what we do, and it's someone I talk to regularly. And she said to me, she goes, I see all this technology and all of these things that you deal with and that you use and you talk about, and I got on that plane and I'm like, why do we travel this way? That's what she kept saying. Why do we travel this way? This is like a piece of junk. And I agree with her. We shouldn't be. Um, but when you take a step back and you look at some of these other places elsewhere, if you have that ability to do that, and you look at the world and how beautiful it is, the real world, and you look at people and sometimes how wonderful people can be. And, you know, the world is a mess. We have terrible transportation, we have smelly factories, we have all kinds of things that are just not necessary when you have the technology to fix it. We have a horrible healthcare system. We are basically treated worse than insects. And the unknown country former citizens really, and those above them that used to be here that are no longer here, um, should really be ashamed of themselves. I mean, I, we could say that humans were pets to some of the others that were above unknown country. And I don't know about you guys, but I definitely treat my pet a whole lot better than they treat us as humans. There's been all these secret technologies that have been out there for years. Some of them are even in use. Half or not three-quarters of the quote unquote UFOs you think you see are all secret space program craft that they travel in. They go a heck of a lot faster than we do around the world. I can tell you that, and a lot um, more comfortable than we travel as well. So we've got a lot of changes to do, and I don't want to focus so much on governments and structures and power and those kinds of things. We need to really be focusing on the giant mess that we're in. We sat down at this poker game, at the final hand, the final round, and boy, did they deal us the worst hand in poker. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. I'm not a poker player, but the worst hand you could possibly deal somebody. And we just sat down and we've got hardly any chips left. And we're like, oh, you know, how are we going to play this game? But bit by bit, piece by piece, we have a lot of amazing humans that are aware of a lot of technologies that can definitely aid humanity in growing and living in a better environment. Food is another one. That's a huge one. We tried forming a worldwide food group there for we need to start to revisit some of these things and start working on supply chains and honoring our farmers is a big one for me because right now they get paid next to nothing for acres and acres of food that is sold for hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, and they get paid not even close to that for their crops. So there's got to be a better way. There's got to be better systems. We have a lot of those systems in mind. I don't verbalize a lot of that stuff on the news, not because I'm hiding things from you, but it's because the more I give to the deep state, the more they will put things in place or put people in place to stop us. So there will be a time for that and for those structures of care to be known worldwide. Hopefully that time will be very soon. But as long as these people are running around trying to block everything that we're doing, it's just not time. There'll be a time frame and a time period as well once funds do start to flow to people where there might be some initial outlays or something like that, but it'll be a while before any large money goes to someone is until we can actually protect them. That's going to be super important. You don't know these people. We're approached constantly on my side of things and in my little circle, you know, constantly. I've seen them, with good friends of mine where they've tried to destroy their businesses. They've tried to destroy, they come after them with the tax authorities. They come after them with all of these other different ways that they can try to destroy a person just because it's a friend. And I don't want to see that happen to you people. I'm pretty good at it when I can talk to everybody directly, but I can't talk to thousands of people directly on the daily to tell you how to navigate against these operatives. I can tell you exactly what they're going to say. I can tell you exactly what they're going to do, and this is how we stay a few steps ahead of them because of my experience with these people, and having been on the receiving end of all of these things myself. It's like they have a handbook and they pull out page 141 or 32 with a side of a 71 or something like that. And you're like, oh, okay, I know this combo. And here they come again. But, I don't expect all of you to know that. And I don't want you to be harmed in the ways that I've been harmed throughout my life. I've got lots of bones that don't work right anymore. I've got poisoned a couple of times. I've got scars all over the place, and I don't want to see that happen to any of you. So please understand, maybe that's a little mama bear of me to think that way, but I'm hoping it's because I have your best interest or at heart, and because I do care about all of you. And I don't want to see anybody go through the things that I've had to go through in my life. So anyway, on that note, moving forward, we have used this cleanup of the Genesis project to find a few other things that could potentially block the Golden Age AI from full integration, and that has helped us along a little bit further. I think it's going to be probably another couple of days of cleaning, I hope. Only a couple of days. We're getting down to small things now, maybe one or two things at a time, versus doing, hundreds of things at a time, repeatedly, probably 50, 60, 70 times a day. And I'm glad that that part is waning. I'd like to get on to do some other things. Definitely. So I'm looking forward to moving forward as quickly as possible. I just thought it was important that we talked about unknown country. Also, I did want to make one more point about unknown country. Tax authorities. There is a global tax authority that used to be registered underneath unknown country as well. That old structure of global tax authority is not there anymore, and illegally. And there are no people that run the tax authority, the global tax authority, that the IRS and other tax authorities in multiple countries report to. Are they still going to take orders from the people that are no longer with unknown country? I don't know the answer at this moment. This, again, just happened a few hours ago, so we'll see what the fallout will be probably in the next couple of days from that. Some of them are very diehard. They're going to go continue to try to maintain their status in any way possible. They're going to probably claim that they're still principals of the organization that they are not a principal of. And is everybody going to listen? Or is the operatives still going to follow them even though they don't have the legal capacity or clearances or anything else to do what they do? I don't know. There's a lot of people scratching their heads at this moment in time on their side of things. On our side, we watch it, but we don't really participate in it. I report it to you so that you know everything that's going on as far as structures in the world. But I don't know what kind of decision these people that are programmed to the nth degree are going to do. On our side of it, I'm looking forward to the day that we can have conversations about care and all of the improvements that you all have made collectively together in the world. So that's my manifestation thought for the end of the Global Intelligence Agency update for the 13th of November, 2024. And I will see all of you on Friday.